Okay. We on the ones and twos. Are we live?
We are definitely live. I'm just getting a little bit of music to cue up for the background so that we all feel good and feel
Okay.
bubbly inside.
Okay.
Okay, that's trash. Okay, that's trash.
Okay. I feel that. I feel you. That's trash though.
Yeah, baby. By the way, the Knicks got smoked last night, by the way,
By who?
by Indiana.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Um.
I don't like your
I-
silence. Your silence is violence, Savory.
Ooh,
So
really? Damn, that's how we
uh,
going down today.
that's how I feel.
Oh snap! I
That's
can't
exact.
invalidate your feelings. You can feel what you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and because you don't validate my feelings, I'm inclined to believe that you're a racist bigot.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe
You
that,
hear
brother.
this guy? This guy came in hot today.
Racist,
You coming in hot?
deplorable, you Trump supporter.
Nah. You just racist. We'll keep it simple.
Oh man,
Yo. All
what do
right.
we? Let's get that one. I
What
want to
do
see.
we got
I
up?
want to see what Sleepy Joe was talking about, bro. What was Sleepy Joe talking about here?
Let's talk about it. My man, welcome everybody again. But let's play this.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And
That's
it's
stupid.
caused by the fact that despite America having unprecedented and successful vaccination program, despite the fact that for almost 5 months, free vaccines have been available in 80,000 different locations, we still have nearly 80 million Americans who have failed to get the shot. And to make matters worse, there are elected officials actively working to undermine the fight against COVID-19. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Oh
It's
God.
about protecting yourself and those around you, the people you work with,
It ain't about freedom.
the people you care about, the people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans.
Really?
So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
What a
or
disaster.
show a negative test at least once a week.
I mean, who hired this guy? Who
Yo,
hired him?
but that's why I'm confused about these mandates. This, didn't this happen already? What is this? They just your third time saying you're doing this. Like, I don't get it. That's why. That's why I'm a type. I need to. And I actually looked a little bit. Could not find nothing that was actually signed, but they told me it was. I believe people. Maybe I got to dig a little deeper. But did this man sign an order or not? Because he said your freedom don't really matter, right?
I thought he did. That's something we're probably gonna have to look into
Yeah,
tomorrow.
and I'm pretty
So
sure he did because he won't do this. It's too much you're doing without signing it. But anyways, yeah. But
how about
freedom.
we do this? How about we do this, Avery? Let's welcome in our nobody audience right now. So we got nobody in the audience queue here that I'm looking, but it's all good. It
Cool.
don't mean that the show doesn't go on. Hello and welcome to another live broadcast. I'm Macho, that's Savory, and you're watching us on Nobody TV. Be sure to follow us on Twitch at MachoFix88 and at Savory_Edition. Be sure to also follow us on Twitter. We have our same handles there. Be sure to also follow us on TikTok. Hey, Savory, how's TikTok going?
We booming and moving, baby.
Yeah, boy. We also have our same handles there on our TikTok. We also got our Discord going here. It's Drinks with a Nobody. And in case you miss any of our previous broadcasts, go on the YouTube, type in Drinks with a Nobody, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. That was the Instagram handle there as well. We got a little Instagram here. Click that notification bell so you never miss a thing. When we go live, you know it. Hey, Savory, what kind of audience are we trying to generate? Why do we even want to talk to an audience in the first place?
Yo, if you on TikTok, if you on Twitter, if you on Twitch, if you on YouTube, wherever you at, we want you to join us. What do? Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We break down all different kind of topics and we invite dissenting views. We invite people who agree and we just try to make that community in a culture where people are afraid to speak up, in a culture where people are not only being censored, but censoring themselves, man. And
Oh my God.
if that's you, which I would go out on a limb and say that's many of you, because that's me in many ways. Come join us, have some fun with us, and break it down, man. My man got the Thomas Soul Cup here. Yo, you
And
always
please
ready, my
do
man.
not do this without a drink, folks. Go in that fridge. Do yourselves a favor. Step away from your computer, your phone, anything. Get out of your car while it's moving. I don't care. Go get yourself a beverage of choice. Please drink responsibly.
Yes,
Get
sir.
it, pop it open, sit back, relax, and prepare to engage. I got a few things I gotta get off my chest before we get
What you got?
rolling with the
What you got?
clips here.
Talk to me.
And that is, I'm gonna open tonight's show like this, Savory. When I was a kid in the 90s,
Mm.
we had a great philosophical thinker. His name was Tupac Shakur.
Oh, Tupac Shakur. I'm at the
Full
edge
of
of my seat.
nonsense. My man was full of ignorance and nonsense.
Oh, you think so?
And he spewed in many different rants. First, I'm going to open off with a question that he was asked about if he was given 20 years to live. He said that if he had the ability, if God gave him another 20 years to live, that he would change the world because he thinks opposite of what everyone else thinks.
Hmm.
That's right. And then he also, in another interview, talked about how he gave this whole analogy of being at a hotel, seeing through the doors, like standing on the outskirts and
Mhm.
looking through the doors and seeing a table of food, massive amount of food, a feast before his eyes,
Okay.
and him asking the hotel personnel who was working or the service member, "Can I get some food?" And the service member responded, "We don't have food," and closes the door. And he uses that analogy, and I'm going to explain what that means. He uses that analogy that the people were asking. He's talking about black people asking America, "Let us partake of the table. Let
Uh,
us get inside." He said we were asking during the civil rights. We asked when we had the Black Panther movement. And now all those folks are either dead or in jail. So what do you expect for us to do? And he says, we're going to just pick the lock and come through the door blasting.
Oh,
Ain't no time, ain't no place to ask anymore.
that's what Tupac said.
We are in a place, Savory, where now was the time we just pick the lock and come through the door blasting. No time for asking.
You feel that same way?
Absolutely not.
I just wanted to make sure because you was, it's a
And
good.
he also says things like, if Ronald Reagan, then president, when he was in another interview, if he really wanted to deal with homelessness like he says he does, then all the thousands of rooms he has in the White House, why doesn't he offer a room for the homeless? As if giving shelter to a homeless person solves the very reason why they're homeless.
That's a good point.
And this is why I wanted to start off tonight with this, because
Let's do this. I'm on the
I
edge.
am upset by hearing this dangerous, ignorant rhetoric. And I want to open up with this question. How, by having these thoughts, only leads us towards a ultimate power shift.
Mhm.
It's a shifting hands of power, which leads us to more arrogance. How do I know this? Tell me a single governance around the world that exists that has no corruption. Then also tell me in the same breath where in the world there is an absence of government. We can have our hatred towards capitalism. We can even have our hatred towards communism, Savory. I'd even go that far. The simple truth is this: all societies are governed by those we disagree with. There is no perfect system, no perfect people, no perfect human. So we must learn to live with the trade offs. And here in America, questioning and examining the governing authorities is a freedom / trade off that we can live with. And the minute the mob believes that our freedom in society is solely dependent on the notion of meeting demands, is when we must be honest that we may be taking our freedom for granted. The freedom that I'm talking about is the freedom that the Australians are screaming for is not conditional. The freedom the Australians are screaming for is for their basic human right and paves their way for reasoning, rational logic, and human decency. Where in America, Savory, freedom appears to be conditional. Movements such as Garveyism, the Black Panther movement, and we can continue naming different movements that has totally, quote unquote, revolutionized this country.
Mm.
The current movement of the Black Lives Matter movement seeks demands for freedom by way they see fit. They want to control our legal system. They want to control our police. They want to control our workforce, our homes, our children. Hell, they even want to control how we have sex, our sexuality. Savory.
That's deep.
If these demands are not met, riots are incited and people are terrorized and society deteriorates.
Ooh,
And the
that's
only
so
answer
true.
is to succumb to the mob. If you don't succumb to these demands, we will take your life. We will take your freedom. You will no longer have your thoughts. You will no longer have your opinions, folks. This is not only dangerous, it's irrational, it's stupid, it's demonic.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Regressive.
cannot give in to this. We cannot give in to this. It doesn't have to happen via force of giving in. It doesn't have to be met with resistance by hands, but meet with resistance by your mind. Do not give in to the notion that freedom is conditional. It is a basic human right. And do not dare tell me what freedom is supposed to be based on safety. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore. What freedom is what we got here at Drinks with a Nobody. where we can talk freely. We could express how we feel. We could talk about our thoughts, examine those things. We're going to examine the rioting that goes on and what does it really answer? What has it really paved a way for but more anarchy or submission to another governing authority? What has it really done for any black or brown body in this country? Rioting does not solve our problems. Rioting leads to war. And that's what we want in this country. Do we want a war? Do we want to wage war? And if we want to do that, and who comes out on top, are you going to be willing to deal with defeat? Are you going to be willing to submit yourself to the governing authority that rightfully so won the war?
Woo! I just gotta say, man, if I can say this really quick, that man, whoever missed that, that's worth a playback, because I think that's the heart and center, that vessel what we're about to talk about, man. Because there's certain things that sound good. There's certain people who are influential, like Tupac. There's certain people who would give you a certain picture of how the world should be. But at the end of the day, the world is for them a tool for them to kind of like play to their own narrative, right? A tool for them to kind of, as a lot Tupac's ideas for people sound great because he's so passionate. But at the end of the day, people don't weigh out the cost. You have to start weighing out the cost of what you actually believe. So that's why I love that intro so much, man, because that connects with what we're talking about. That connects with freedom. That connects with ideologies and all these important things, man. So that's good right there.
And how bad does these riots? I know you got some clips here. How bad does these riots get, and where do they really take us, Savory?
Yeah.
Look at some of the riots in the '90s. Look at some of the riots in the '70s and the '80s. Where did it really take us, but divide us more and more, folks? We need to start really examining how we're taking freedom for granted in this country. You got freaking thousands of migrants crossing this border. You think because they care about the rhetoric of slavery? They don't care about that. They'll deal with that mess. They'll deal with that trade-off.
Mhm.
What they're coming here for is the ability to sell their dream, to buy it and to sell it. Don't give in to the stupidity of the Marxist ideas of the capitalist ideology of killing capitalism with the rope they bought it from. That kind of stupid rhetoric is what's tearing our country apart. In
Remember what
fact,
they
I'd
promised.
even go as far as it's what's tearing our world apart.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
terrible,
yeah. That's
terrible.
great right there, man. And people, that's a great opening, man. Stay tuned, everybody, because we are about to break down some of these realities of the past and present and what we've been talking about when it comes to a lot of these, different issues, from ideologies, protests, rioting, and really the essence of freedom, which is what I'm most excited about right now, man. So
Yeah, and
that's
we're
a
going to
great intro.
concentrate on the Kenosha special visual investigation, which was strategically released, and you're going to know why as you watch the course of this broadcast, why they released it when they did, and how that could potentially sway the case for Kyle Rittenhouse. And if you were born under a rock, Kyle Rittenhouse was the kid who shot 3 people, killed 1. In a fatal incident that it just there's so many layers of confusion. There's so many things that are going on that was surrounding that incident. It was 48 hours of terror. In fact, some would argue it was 2 weeks of terror there. Kenosha, Wisconsin, the Minnesota of the worlds, the LA, the New York City riots. None of this helped. It may have got your agenda across of getting rid of the orange man. So to demand, for example, Maxine Waters says before a courthouse in Minnesota in the Derek Chauvin trial, that if you do not convict this man, we will not stop. We will not, the looting will begin. The violence will happen. We'll be knocking at your door. We will tear down this city. What do you think that does to a jury? I'm not saying that Derek Chauvin is an innocent man. None of us is innocent. We're all guilty before God. That's because some of y'all don't understand the rightful accountability that is before God. And if you don't believe in God, you don't have to. Our country believes in God because our country's motto is in God we trust. So our country is supposed to be accountable to God Almighty. You don't go and get to dictate who gets to be guilty or not. You don't get to hold a city hostage and say, if you do not convict this man, we will tear down your city.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mob mentality is why I never believed in systemic racism. Maxine Waters proved it to me why I never believed in systemic racism.
Mm-hmm. These politicians is the same politicians for me that in one, you know what I'm saying, they say something with their mouth, but they believe something completely different, you know? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's open up with some footage of what you've really been fleshing out so that people can see where we're going,
Got
what
you.
we're talking about, because I think you gave a beautiful picture of why we need to be wary of these ideological thoughts, these rioters, and these demands that are being made, man. So yeah, let's do this.
And just to address our audience, we have one and one each in our Twitch. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. If you want, type in the comment section. We like to engage our audience. We like to talk to you guys. We like to wrestle and flesh and examine through these things. We're not trying to change your point of view. That's not
Mhm.
what we do here. We want all point of views to be shared, but no one should trump each other. The only reason why you'll hear us is because we are the hosts of the show. So, but here at Drinks with a Nobody, we believe in engaging all perspectives and examining those things. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the show, Savory, shall we? Because we're Shaq and Kobe. We're so in sync, Savory and I.
Press that at the same time, but yeah.
Yeah, we just pressed that at the same
All
time.
right, let's do this. So what we got here? Give it. Hold on. Wait, you're about to. Okay, it's
I got
great.
you.
Beautiful start right here. We can start do analysis of this, and then we'll go to the rest of this. Yeah, perfect. Let's do this.
When I
This
first
is the
watched this
Rittenhouse.
video, Savory, it had 250,000 views. It's well over 1 million, and this came out on October 28th.
Wow.
Okay. What was October 28th? Check it, folks. What's the significance of that date? The day before the trial begins.
Oh,
This
they
man.
just dropped that the day before the trial begins. Wow.
Do you think that was by accident?
Definitely not, man. I'm not born under a rock.
We gotta stop giving in to this stupidity, y'all.
That's definitely not by accident. Let's do this, man.
A police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin shoots a black man named Jacob Blake 7 times from behind, leaving him partially paralyzed. Two days later, in the midst of protests and unrest, a teenager carrying an assault rifle kills 2 people and wounds a third. Now that shooter, 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time, is standing trial on charges of murder. The case will likely focus on the few crucial minutes around the fatal shootings on August 25th of 2020. But our investigation of these events reveals that the story is about much more than a single person. We analyzed hours of footage from that day and traveled to Kenosha just weeks after the events to hear from witnesses, several of whom have now been subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse trial.
And that language of several of whom, I don't know when they wrote this, when they filmed this, but every single person that appeared in this video here, in this 24-second visual investigation, every one of them is going to appear and testify in court.
Wow.
So that's a bit disingenuous, but that's how the media is. Now, again, I don't know when they filmed this. Maybe not everybody was given a subpoena at the time. That's the only validation that they have.
It felt volatile. It felt tense. It felt like a war zone.
Oh, my man's in
We're
a
not
sling.
like bad people or like people just going out to like shit up.
I feel like had we not been there and not reacted the way that we did to the situation, I think we could have been looking at an even worse scenario.
We also spoke with the sheriff, who led law enforcement's response that night, which has become the subject of lawsuits. While protests against systemic racism were what first drew out crowds in Kenosha, Rittenhouse, his victims, and many of those closest to the shootings were white. What we found was a complex set of motivations on the streets that night that reflected the growing polarization in the country and helped set the scene for violence.
Oh shit. We got shots fired, guys. We got shots fired.
On the Sunday before the Rittenhouse shooting, Kenosha police officers respond to a domestic complaint and try to arrest Jacob Blake. As Blake moves away from them and leans into his car, he's holding a knife. An officer shoots him.
All right.
Blake's lawyer later said that Blake didn't.
Yeah, these videos always start, like I always mention this one manner, but there was a whole situation that happened beforehand, but we jump to these conclusions on these videos without actually knowing the full scope of the story. How are you gonna keep walking? The police officer is telling you to stop. You go into your car, you're reaching for a weapon. As a police officer, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna shoot. I'm not saying I'm trying to kill you, right? That's not what I'm saying right now. All I'm saying is I'm gonna shoot. Like, you remember we were watching that video and I was telling you how my mind works? Like, I'm literally shooting. Why? Is because, again, I'm not trying to kill you. That's what but you're a police officer. You have a family to go back to. Just follow the damn instructions. Anyways, let's keep playing this. We're gonna get to Rittenhouse here.
And it's very simple. What you just said there, that is wisdom. Follow instructions. But why don't we have people who don't follow instructions, Savory?
I just had a whole live on that where I'm talking about culture, man. We're actually trained.
Fill me in.
I had a whole live where I'm telling people our culture is actually trained. We're training one another in the hood. Right? I grew up in New York. You grew up in New York, but it's in different hoods. If you grew up in the project, you're trained to not like police officers for no apparent reason. Because of the hood you live in, that's doing a lot of illegal stuff. You're trained to not like police officers and go on this kind of notion of like, fuck the popo, these this and that, snitches, So you grew up with a certain mentality. It has nothing to do with the system or the government. Like Denzel Washington said, you don't got locked up at 5, 7, 9 years old. You ain't getting locked up. You're not. But you're forming yourself into the person you're going to be to disobey the law and be violent. You're saying you're becoming that person because of what you're being taught. Yeah. Anyways, but let's keep playing this. I know it's a lot to this video.
And the reason why we even had these particular what this visual investigation conveniently leaves out is before the Jacob Blake incident, there were already riots happening in Wisconsin. It's particularly in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Savory.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, I got a bit distracted by your message there. So, yeah, in part, we're talking about Black Lives Matter in full force. Why? Because of the George Floyd incident, the Breonna Taylors of the world, all these things were happening. This movement was so strong that they had the country hostage.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're trying to talk about. That led to this hostility that potentially Jacob Blake incident perpetuated such a disaster 48 hours later into Kyle Rittenhouse shooting 3 people, excuse me.
Pose a threat. Video of the shooting quickly spreads online.
To hear about it is one thing, but to watch it, I guess it got to the point where, how many more?
Here's what I want to address, Avery.
Here we go. Yeah.
Here's what I want to address. It's very important, and I want to be considerate of this human being that just said what she said. When I hear someone say, "How many more?"
or when is it gonna stop? Or are we just are they just gunning us down? When you hear those terms, you tell where someone sides, and you have an extremely biased opinion outside of the facts.
Do you say that same thing when your fellow man next to you who is black shoots or puts a bullet in another fellow black person? How many more? Do you say those things? Are they just gunning them down? Did you even consider the woman that Jacob Blake was dealing with? That he was abusive towards her?
At that very moment, by the way.
Did you even consider that?
Yeah.
And do you think for 1 second Jacob Blake is ever going to put his hands on a woman again? Now, I don't think he should have been shot 7 times. Listen, I could think whatever I want. I'm not the police officer. I'm a civilian. So also I want to address is the other side here, because again, we address multiple facets here on Drinks with a Nobody, and that is, what about her mental health? She said she witnessed this incident, Savory. She said she saw it with her own 2 eyes. She is in shock. I don't know when they filmed this, y'all, but it clearly sounds like she's still in shock.
Yeah, for sure. But let's
And that kind of rhetoric perpetuates, or that kind of thought process or experience perpetuates to rhetoric.
I want you to think, yep.
There we go.
Corey Washington, who's a local live streamer and now subpoenaed in the Rittenhouse trial, arrives to document the situation.
Let's check the scene out over here. I mean, there's tons of people already starting to gather there. In the air, you could kind of feel the tension. At a certain point, more sheriffs arrived on the scene, and their presence kind of aggravated the crowd. And from there, it just started going crazy.
Oh, what?
For the next 48 hours, the protests intensified. And at night, local businesses are looted.
Did y'all just peep that? I just want to highlight that for a second.
Local businesses are looted.
Bam.
2 black men right there. These 2 black men, I couldn't get it in time, but these 2 black men, this dude is walking around with a semi-automatic, looks like an Uzi, with a bulletproof vest. He is as geared up as the militia around him. And this gentleman here that is shirtless is walking around with a handgun.
Yeah, crazy.
But check the narrative here, y'all. Check the narrative.
And set on fire. Eventually, a new group inserts themselves into the already chaotic scene. Dozens of men, mostly white, equipped with military-style weapons and gear.
Mostly white, huh?
And soon, a Facebook post will incite more of them to come.
That's just so they could cover their bases there, Savory. Mostly white. Because they know damn well everybody was armed at this riot. Bats, freaking using objects, using Molotov cocktails, using guns. Everyone was strapped during this incident. The National Guard doesn't just show up to just show up. Come on, y'all.
It's Tuesday morning, 13 hours before the Rittenhouse shooting, when on a Facebook page called The Kenosha Guard, a post publishes.
This is all talking about the setup, how they got.
So my post just basically said, are there any patriotic
people now that you have been living around forever? There are no more masks being worn.
Are there some truly peaceful protesters that may have been a little intimidated about seeing it
right here
to the correct conclusion?
At the time, he also supported the extremist Boogaloo movement.
So as we're moving forward here, they're addressing the militia that was there, that was guarding this particular site. This is a gas station or
They were
I think it
exercising their
was
freedom to carry and protecting their neighborhood.
yeah. They were protecting property,
Yeah,
which
property.
you can do. You could
Mhm.
be commissioned to protect property so long as the owner gives you permission. Okay? And the law, the legal standing in Kenosha.
which is anti-police and calls for the government's overthrow. He says he later stopped supporting the movement. Balsh and his friends eventually link up with other openly armed men. Among them is Kyle Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse is 17 years old. He's from Illinois and isn't legally allowed to carry a gun in Wisconsin. Balsh says he didn't know Rittenhouse or the people he was with,
By the
but
way,
decided to team up with them anyway.
They weren't on the level of me and my guys. I don't think
they talked about him transporting that gun illegally and all that. That seems to be proven false, according to what I'm listening to in the court case. So something around that, just so, you know, people can keep an eye open for that. That
Did
narrative
not bring that
doesn't
gun.
seem to be
Yeah.
correct. So by the way, so yeah, let's keep on there.
trained formally together at all. But the more guys you got, the better off you are.
As for Rittenhouse, we don't know whether he sees himself as some kind of neutral force
Do
between
those people look scared of Rittenhouse?
No, I ain't
What about that face there? What is that face? Does he look like he's trying to terrorize them?
scared. Yeah, no.
Is he a white supremacist because he had his rifle? Did they look terrified? Come
He was
on, guys. Come on. Use your brains.
the protesters and the police, like Ryan does. His social media posts at the time seemed to indicate he was a strong supporter of law enforcement.
Okay, so
Since the shooting, he's also been seen flashing white power signs,
Nah.
and he's become
That's
an
it, that's it.
icon for far-right groups.
here's my thing. Who cares? Who
Bro,
cares?
Not white power though.
But who cares if he's a white supremacist? Who cares?
These people are out of control.
I'm gonna go as far to say he is, Savory. I'm gonna go as far to say that he is.
There's no evidence of that, but your point
I
is,
know,
if
I
he
know,
is-
I know. Let's go to the extreme. Can he not live freely in America and be a white supremacist?
Good. But then again, they're going to use that against why he actually shot a black man, which he didn't shoot, because and that's a whole different conversation. But let's keep going. All right.
Soon, Balsh and Rittenhouse will come face to face with racial justice protesters.
No peace, no justice, no peace.
Go home, kids.
You still have a fairly large crowd out here.
The organized daytime protests at the park are now over, and law enforcement has announced a curfew.
Our goal that entire evening was to disperse people from the Civic Center after curfew and to get them to leave, to get them to go home.
Yeah, get to the
Kevin
drama. real
Mathewson,
quick.
who'd be shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. Giddings has now been subpoenaed for Rittenhouse's trial.
So this hipster progressive girl here went to the protests
Okay.
screaming Black Lives Matter, you know, with her boyfriend. And her boyfriend was one of the guys that got shot and he was killed.
Oh, word.
Yeah. His dumbass wants to attack a person with a rifle, thinks, oh, yeah, we're going to be okay.
I wouldn't really say we were like heavy activists or anything previously,
What a
but we
damn
knew
shame.
Jake Blake and felt like we needed to be.
My whole thing is, I hope nobody gives this woman a baby because I don't want her thought process to permeate the world.
Sheesh, somebody will, but let's go.
Present and standing united with the people who believe the same things that we do and want basic human rights, civil rights, equality.
The standoff between protesters and the police
Mostly
becomes
peaceful.
more violent.
Here's where they say it's mostly peaceful. They're throwing shit.
Everything started to move super quickly.
Super quickly, mostly peaceful. We just had a few things going on.
They're hitting them with
Police
rubber
and riot,
bullets.
You're all yelling to disperse and go home. You're breaking curfew.
I got grabbed by the police.
Look like a
Threatened to
wholly
lock me
different
up if she
person.
Caught me out there again
All of
that
a sudden,
night.
she got the
I just went
African
home.
wrap over
Faced
her
with
head.
this massive show of force, only a small number of protesters choose to stay. Among the shrinking crowd is Gage Grosskreutz, a paramedic from Milwaukee, who's also under subpoena for the Rittenhouse trial.
When you go...
Hold on. I just realized what he said. He's from Milwaukee. And I know this is Kenosha's in Wisconsin. but you're not even from the area.
It's a lot. It happens a lot. Yeah.
And you also brought your freaking gun. Like, this is the dude that brought his gun to the protest.
Into a protest or a march in a medic capacity, you're essentially waiving that luxury to be able to pick a side because, ethically speaking, you know, you're there to treat everybody.
Shut up.
Like Nathan Pete, Grosskreutz decided to come armed with a handgun.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's my right. Simple as that.
He'll later be
it's my
shot by
right.
Kyle Rittenhouse after drawing his gun and trying to stop him.
After drawing his gun and trying to stop him from what? Stop. They had video footage of this kid walking around. What was he doing? Come on now. What was he doing?
Hold up. Stop him from what? Like, you see how they get people, and then they paint a whole narrative where they don't care for people to actually ask what happened. They just care to ask who's the victim. They want you to. They're training you throughout this process.
Great point,
say, I'm the victim. So they're kind of, these videos, what the media does is they train you to, instead of think through who's the victim and who's the person committing the crime, they telling it for you throughout the story. It's kind of genius. So by the time you get to the end of the video or the end of a segment in the media clip, what happens? You tell yourself, oh yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse is out here trying to kill people with no evidence. What are you talking about?
I'll fast forward here to some more parts here, and we'll just blaze right through it.
Let's go.
And then we'll move on.
Belongs in Kenosha.
Our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is also
it's a good part, yeah.
There's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle.
All right.
It's about 15 minutes until he'll fire a shot.
Right. So that's a very important matter there, right? You can tell. This is why his defense wanted to play this as well. I was saying that, right? Because you clearly get to see why he's there, right? Why is important, right? So every time you commit a crime, they lay out the crime and then they do what? It's called motive, right? Motive is very important in every crime. The motive tells you a lot. Right here, you actually see his motive. Again, I haven't listened to the entire case. I plan to continue to listen to what I can over the days, right? This is going to keep going. But this is just to give you some kind of evidence of why he got there. And they went right through that, and now they're going to say he's trying to kill people. But anyways.
Men at the gas station earlier. Rosenbaum now starts chasing Rittenhouse.
So there's this character, this evil character. He lost his bird and started chasing and attacking Rittenhouse. Started chasing him. He was one of, like, he was a loose cannon. He was not like, he was one of those kind of guys that he was like black despite him being white, and he was attacking or looking to cause a fight with the participants or the militia. Mind you, he was unarmed. So
this throws a plastic
that's
bag
him chasing
that
him.
holds his belongings from the hospital.
His belongings from the
Close
hospital.
behind them, a man holds up a handgun.
There you
and
go.
Fires it. We don't know why.
This is what I'm telling you, Savory. That shots were fired, and they assumed that Rittenhouse shot.
Yeah. I heard the prosecutor say while Rittenhouse was running, you'll hear 2 shots. I actually just heard that. And he said you'll hear 2 shots, but that was not from Rittenhouse. So I'm guessing we're going to hear another one.
Correct.
Then Rosenbaum lunges towards Rittenhouse.
That was another one, yeah.
Rittenhouse fires 4 times.
Had I been in his shoes getting chased and then I heard a gunshot, I can't say that I would have done anything differently.
Rosenbaum, who's been hit, falls to the ground. There are 3 more shots from someone else in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. We got shots fired, guys. We got shots fired.
Pop, 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 pop,
And
pop.
then we'll
And
cut it off
oh,
as soon as we get to this part here.
They are really shooting.
I gotta find some cover.
Oh, man, maybe they really are really just trying to kill people. And if they were going to take advantage of the situation.
After the first shooting, he continued to run around. As a gun owner, I view his actions as completely irresponsible.
You come running through looking wild with a gun on you, people are gonna think that you're doing something wild with a gun on you.
I want to cap it there at what they just said there. To cap this segment here, listen, you're gonna hear all sorts of things about this case, and especially that he looks like he's irresponsible. When the first shot was fired, it didn't come from Kyle Rittenhouse's gun. It came from someone else's gun. Kyle was being chased by a deranged, deluded person, okay? And then turned around and shot at that person because that person initiated an engagement with him and he heard a shot.
Yeah.
So what is he going to think? He's thinking maybe he's armed. So he turned around and shot him. And you know what he did afterwards, Savory? He got on his phone and went to call help.
He put his drinks up. The cops gave him some water. He explained.
No, before we even got there, when he fired and shot that first person, he got on the phone. When they saw Rittenhouse there, they chased him. The 3 individuals that he shot chased him because they thought, oh, he's the one shooting up everything. Get him. Trial by the mob.
Yeah, they probably
Trial
didn't
by
think
the
that
mob.
was just so much agitators there that they start
Stupid.
probably people pointing at him saying, "Oh, this guy, whatever," you know what I'm saying? Like people ain't probably even see him. I won't be surprised if nobody even witnessed the man shooting a shot at somebody because he didn't. You know what I'm saying? So it's just these narratives get painted and people run with it. So now when you have the New York Times and these outlets come to you for a story, you know, you kind of know what they want to hear, right? Social justice, and they tell you, you know, they probably come up to you, hey, this is we know what's happening in your community. We just want you to really share. You know, it's like these media outlets are deceitful, I tell you.
And I like that you said that because we need to now look at these things. Look, it's easy to say they're lies, they're fake news. We hear a lot of this rhetoric, and that's all understandable. But we need to understand that the media's job is not to tell the truth.
Yeah,
It's
that's
to
a great
get
point.
more
Yeah,
views.
yeah.
The media's job is obviously there are ramifications if they blatantly lie, right? They could be subject to lawsuits and litigations and even could be subpoenaed by the FCC. There could be a whole bunch of things that could happen if they blatantly lie. But folks, their job is not to tell you the truth. Their job is to get more views. They get more views, they get higher ratings. Our problem is we keep giving them the views.
Yeah,
So they
well,
think
a lot of
we're
networks ain't getting
reporting
the views though. A lot of these networks are tanking, so hopefully, you know,
because they
but
miss Trump. They miss Trump. That's
yeah,
why.
they don't got an enemy to attack.
They need
But
a double. They need a
on
double.
that note, right? Let me give a quick twist in history right here. What was happening? Kyle Rittenhouse. That same day, there was a Black Lives Matter protest, riot, march, whatever you want to call this. You make your own assessment of what this was. But Black Lives Matter was there strong. And the residue that night, they were there before, but that night, it was still a lot of Black Lives Matter supporter and a lot of people from that march were definitely still there, right?
Yeah.
So right now, what I want to show people is the Black Lives Matter, the havoc that they have caused in so many places, right? This is just the reality. It's not pointing them out only. This is just the reason I want to point this out is because no one else does. It's that simple. No one else is pointing this out. Check some of this out, right? I'm gonna scroll through some pictures, right? Look at this. Hundreds of BLM rioters, looters, vandals have charges dropped despite destruction from violent protests. So all these people that were caught on camera doing the destruction, burning flags, throwing bottles at cops, it was all dropped. Why? Because it's a strategic political move on the heels of George Floyd and other people that they call victims being shot, right? It doesn't look good for Black Lives Matter people in the protest being persecuted and going to court. So they dropped the charges. Look at this. And bear with me right here. Take a look at all these pictures. Look at this. You remember this picture? NYPD? This is real life.
That was a thing of art. That was considered art.
No justice. Look, that's art right there. No justice in a federal building. Burning of the flag. Look at this. I don't care what skin color you are. This is disgraceful. This is disgraceful. Look at this. Look at this. Imagine you getting pulled over and you acting like this in front of a cop. What do you think? He's going to give you a muffin? You idiot. He's not going to give you a muffin, bro. You're going to get shot or tased. You see right here? Like, well, oh, he just got, oh, my fault. Let me explain this, by the way. The cops just went to him and put him on the ground because he was black.
And why do you need that many police officers? Why are all these people coming here? Oh, God.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you in their business? Like, do you know? Like, do they go to your job and tell you why you serving me this way? No, they don't do that. And rightfully so, they should, because it's a consumer basis. But the police officers don't work for us directly. They work for the people who legislate the very tactics that they do.
Look at this, right? And this is a good point because we're talking about
If you
rioting.
want police to change, stop voting for the people who are writing these stupid tactics. If you
We're
don't
talking
believe,
about.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish that. If you don't believe what?
You don't believe that, you really think that Republicans write these stupid tactics that police do? In all the major cities where we've had police problems, you've had Larry Elder said it in our pre-record yesterday. He
Yeah.
said you had black police
Black
chief,
attorney general,
black
black
attorney
lieutenant,
general.
black crazy.
You have
Up and
black
down, up and down.
senators. You have black congressmen, and they're the ones writing these laws on how police can use their force or not use their force
Yeah, it's insane. I'll tell you. This
until a
right
black man dies at the result of it. It's
here. Yeah.
stupid.
Now we changed the whole narrative. Right here, we have rallies against Trump. So this is the rallies when Trump won. Right. So this is just to show you the history of what's happening, the craziness in our country.
Some of the chants involved profanities from those who came to denounce the coming presidency they see as being tainted by racism and sexism.
You can come out here today and support, and you can be the cause and be the fight. And, don't take this as a defeat. Just take this.
You can be the cause. You see the language they use. They're elevating protesting and marching, which turns to rioting as the most extreme, as the most virtuous thing to do to protect your democracy. You see the problem here? Every time they cover this, they're never honest, so it inspires people to go out and march because they think they're part of a movement and it's all bogus.
Marching is fine. What they take
but
for
they're not.
granted is the words. They think their words don't have power because you have the Tupac Shakurs of the world says, we're done asking.
Yeah.
We're done asking. We're gonna pick the lock and we're gonna come through the door blasting.
Exactly. Crazy.
Come on, bro.
Work harder.
Many of the marchers are young people from a variety of races and
Never my
ethnicities.
president.
Protests were organized with the aid
Love
of social
Trump
media.
hates.
On college campuses and at high schools, students walked out
When you see conservatives act like this with Obama won, I'll leave it at that.
of classes and staged sit-ins.
It's ridiculous. This is why I find this ridiculous. It's like it's not even stuff.
And conservatives are not even doing that now, and they think Biden rigged the election.
Yeah, this is exactly. And imagine this is one of the worst things that and there's some type of evidence out there. Maybe not everything is proven, but they're still not going out there. I'm not saying he didn't
If
win.
Trump
Who knows?
was guilty of rigging an election, which he was, which they say that he was guilty of rigging the 2016 election, this is what they did. They rioted. They demanded their freedom was conditional. We'll act accordingly if you get rid of the orange man.
Yeah, this is crazy.
In Los Angeles, protesters
Look at this, burning his head. Look.
Trump effigy and blocked a major highway.
Oh, I just thought of something. Hold on. I just thought of something.
Burning that man's head.
That could be the reason. Let me stop with the white supremacy. That could be the reason. Like, could you honestly think for a second that if our government was a participant in a rigged election, quote unquote rigged election, right? Mm-hmm. Could it be a matter of national safety?
Yeah.
Because if this man would have won another 4 years in office, it could have been war. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
I'm sure even Trump knew this. This was probably a matter of national security. They probably were like, "Yo, Trump, you got to go, bro. Like, just bend the knee for now. Come back in 2024." You know what I'm saying?
Which he might be. Well, you're kind of arguing that he might be part of the system and complying with this.
Of course, come on, Savory.
So you think Trump purposely is in the system of not really like working with all this to run later? I don't think so.
No. I think some element to that. If we came to the table together, right,
mm-hmm.
and we were leading a group of people, but the people were not happy with me, and they were gonna turn away or they were gonna infight and this that, and you came to me and said, "Yo, Mach, let me lead this one now to quail them down a little bit. and hopefully perspectives, cooler heads can prevail. Could that have been strategic? Could this a past election been strategic
On the Republican side.
on the Democrats, on both their sides? Could this been a government thinking and just thinking of the whole?
You're thinking beyond the parties, right?
Yeah. Could
Yeah.
they have said, no, like Trump, we cannot have you run this and we be on the verge of civil war here?
Yeah,
I just thought that in my head. It just crossed my mind.
Yeah, I don't think so though, because then you have 4 years of the rhetoric of Russia collusion, all that. So they wanted to get that man out, and it wasn't about national security at that time. So if it was only that instance, I would have been with you. But too much evidence shows me that they clearly, the elites in government power and these strategic moves they made in these counties. Again, I won't say they stole the election. I do believe they cheated. I don't know if they stole. Maybe Biden really won. I really don't know. I mean that honestly. But I know there was a lot of irregularities, more than normal. But I think they wanted him out. Not the government. I think he wanted to stay, honestly. But we'll see.
Okay.
But I also want to play. We played BLM. We played some Kenosha to get you in on some of the madness narratives, right? Riots, marches, and how these things are covered, right? This is a lot of what we did right now. And the question is, are they fighting for freedom?
Just make sure that you refresh your page so that it doesn't lag on there, because this looks like this is about to come with some heat.
And right now, what we're about to play is Australia madness. And our argument, which we both agree on, you might disagree, is more of this is truly fighting for freedom.
Yeah. Let's see what you got here. Ooh, it looks like you're about to come with the heat. Is this Daily Wire? Oh, no. Yeah, something news in Australia. Okay, let's check this out.
Anti-lockdown Australia.
Okay, let's see.
Australia now, where an anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne has turned violent. Police arrested demonstrators and used pepper spray as hundreds of people took to the streets. Protesters say the lockdown is authoritarian and a way to deflect criticism of a vaccination program that has fallen far behind those of other countries.
Anger boils over in Melbourne. These protesters want their freedoms back. The city is in its 6th lockdown. Now the restrictions have been extended to the entire state. Frustration is also mounting in Sydney. Despite being more or less shut down for 8 weeks, the majority of Australia's coronavirus cases are being recorded there. The health minister issued a stern warning.
There is no time now to be selfish. It's time to think of the broader community and your families. If you are actually spreading the virus, you could be responsible for people's deaths.
Sydney, Australia's largest city, is at the center of the COVID-19 outbreak. It's being fueled by the Delta variant. The government is accelerating its vaccine program after a slow rollout.
We are in a very serious situation here in New South Wales with this particular variant of the virus. And if you can get either one of the 2 vaccines that have been made available, just go and get it.
Officials say hard lockdowns will only be eased when inoculation rates climb. For these protesters, that can't come soon enough.
Wow, wow, wow. So what's this right here? What is this? I ask people. I'll tell you exactly what this is. This is what you call fighting for damn freedom. You know what you know what you call fighting for freedom? You call fighting for freedom when you actually could point to something, right? This is what you call systemic government oppression. There's actually a system in that government that's systemically telling people they can't do things, they can't buy things, they can't see people. So when we riot here or march, or even if it's a peaceful protest, let's go with the assumption of a peaceful protest. When you're doing this in this country, off the heels of a black man being shot, when the statistics show that Black men and women are not dying left and right in this country. Yes, there's an honest conversation to be had, but you have to merge, like I was saying today in my live, culture and politics. You can't just say politics, systemic. It starts with culture. It starts at the home. It starts with the reality of what we're taught in our culture. Bro, in high school, I don't know how many times I heard, fuck the police. I don't know how many times. You see, this is, the government ain't teach me that, bro. The people selling drugs in the corner of my block taught me that. You see what I'm saying? So I tell people, look, if anything you got from this, remember, there's a certain way to fight for something, right? Like Macho opened up and he gave us a good synopsis of having this attitude of, yo, I'm knocking down the door, I'm getting what I want. Yo, that only gets you so far. And at the end of the day, you destroy your system and you're just a pawn in that system again. That's why freedom would always win. Australia, take a look at Australia. Right now, they're fighting literally for their livelihood. For their livelihood. Jobs are being lost. Money. And now we got people fighting who got full-time jobs, making a great income, who are millionaires fighting. That's why we call that BS, and I'm calling it out. Anyways,
we are calling it out.
We are calling it out for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. If you're catching this on the replay or if you're live with us right now, we loved having you. We love feedback, so feel free to comment underneath our video if you're catching this replay. But thank you for joining us at Drinks with a Nobody. A few places you can follow us. We got our YouTube channel where we funnel everybody because we're just trying to build that audience. We have the replay there, and you'll see all our videos from beginning to end, from first to last in there. We also got our Twitch. Follow our Twitch where we got our handle, which is Savory Edition and Macho Fix. Follow us on that Twitch. Also, follow us on Twitter. We got the same handles, Macho Fix 88, Savory _Edition. Follow both of us on TikTok, Savory Edition, Macho Fix, same handle. And again, thank you for joining us. We'll be doing this again every single day, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time at 6 p.m. Thank you again for joining us. Come join us every day. Bring your drink. Cheers.
Cheers.